Okay, determine if it's growth or decay. Now, if we look at this one, to tell if it's a growth or decay, what we're looking at is this number right here. If that number is greater than 1, it's a growth. If it's less than 1, it's a decay. That one is greater than 1, so this is a growth. This is a growth because that right there is greater than 1. Now, one thing you need to know, 3.5 is called your growth factor. The 8 is your initial value. It's your initial value. It's where you're starting. And what the 3.5 means is every time, every one, if you make a table, every time it multiplies by 3.5 of the previous answer. If you look at the table on the top of your notes, you'll see that. That is how much it multiplies by. Okay. For number 4, you got to think if that's a growth or decay. Now, this one you might want to rewrite as follows. Now, that is a growth or decay. Is that greater than 1 or less than 1? It is less than 1. So this is a decay because that's less than 1. Now, 1 is your initial value, meaning this graph would start at 1 and be shrinking by 0.9 each time. You're multiplying it by 0.9 each time. Okay. The next one, is this a growth or decay? When we look at that, a lot of people mess up when they look at that, and they think that's a less than 1 because it's a fraction, but it's actually bigger than 1. That's 1 and 1/4. So this one is a growth because that's 1 and 1/4. Now, your initial value is 1/2. Now, I'm going to describe one more thing to you. This right here is your growth factor. Your growth factor is 1.25. The rate at which it's growing is actually 0.25. If you look on your sheet a little bit lower, you'll see something where it says 1 plus R, 1 minus R. So this actually, the growth factor is 1.25, but the rate at which it's growing is 0.25, or 1/4. It's the amount over 1 or amount less than 1. For instance, this one has a decay factor of 0.9, but it is shrinking at a rate of 10%, because that is 10% less. That's 0.1 less than 1. This one has a growth factor of 3.5, but it has a rate of increase of 2.5, 250% growth. Okay, that's 250% growth, a huge amount of growth.